You know, while they're on the spawning run, they don't eat, so they basically are striking out of aggression or curiosity or what, I don't know. But this is very effective. Also, for stripers and the white perch. You know, white perches absolutely love these. Little creole X if you want to go flashy. Thing. Any little streamer type fly will work. Little bonefish flies work. You know, it's more a thing of getting it in front of them than anything else. Color sometimes matters, sometimes doesn't. Here's a Dale Huggins fly. Got a little half tail, and this is just some egg fly yarn or whatever with a little bead. Very simple little tie. This is the Rust Crest fly. Steve Lewis uses this for really good results. Basically, just some thread on the hook, covered up with some fingernail polish, a little bead, whatever. This is a really good fly when the water gets really clear. Thing. I really like have the river at about 3 foot of visibility. You know, stained up a little bit. That way it's a little bit clear. It's not too clear. And fish seem to like it. I kind of have a theory that if fish can see the fly coming from 8-10 feet away, they're going to move out the way and ignore it. But if it jumps right up in front of their face, they're going to take a swat at it. Now, that may be totally wrong, but I seem to have better luck in that 2 to 4 foot of visibility range than anything. All right. So that's the shad flies. Any questions on shad flies? You're muted, Doug.
Sorry, no, there's no questions on the flies. There was one previous.
Okay.
About the, let's see. What size of the no knot fast snap do you use?
The extra large. It's super strong and has enough gap. You could go down a size, but it's a significant go down for some reason. It's probably only 50% of the size of the extra large. So, all right, I'm gonna zoom this camera out just a little bit. If I can find the zoomer. Oop, wrong way. Okay. Striper flies. Basically, any streamer type fly works great for stripers. So, for some that are commercially available, Lefty's Deceiver. Can't go wrong with the Lefty's Deceiver. Again, a little bit bigger clouds of minnow. And you know the old saying, if it ain't chartreuse, it ain't no use. So, but you know, we do have a lot of blueback herring in the river. So blue and white could also be a very effective thing. This light is so bright that chartreuse is probably not showing up too well. All right. And if you want the best of both worlds, you get a half and half. Half Leftys Deceiver, half Clouds of Minnow. This was tied by Tommy Mattioli. Some of y'all may know Tommy. This fly is pretty much bomb-proof. He epoxies the head and everything on him. You can get these up at Green Top. Burnished minnow. This is also pretty effective fly. Bucktail Estas does really well on any kind of game fish that eats another game fish. All right, here's a Dave Whitlock pattern. This is a Shiny shad. Got a deer hair head, so it's going to sink very, very slowly. It's going to, you know, hang up in the water column. So again, very, very effective. Stripers aren't really all that picky. You put food in front of them, and most of the time they're going to eat it. Here's another little tiny matty fly. This is a little bunker fly. So it has the herring shape. A lot of movement in the water. Will do real well. A kinky muddler. This fly was invented by a guy named Johnny Hugh up in the Northeast for stripers. It comes in various colors, and this is a chartreuse one. Does real well. All right. CK baitfish that I modified and put a eye on it with a little fish skull, plastic fish skull. These also do very, very well. All right, another modification on a CK baitfish style. It's the head, but I use the flex hackle on it. And this fly here sinks fairly slowly too, and pushes a lot of water. So again, very effective. All right, so this is a just a creole X with a head on it instead of the brass eyes. So it's tied with the acrylic material, just to give it a good bait fish shape.
Robert, got a question. What's the best
Okay.
hook size for stripers?
I'm sorry, Doug.
What's the best hook size for stripers?
For stripers, anywhere from say a size 2 up to 3 or 4 aught, probably. They got big mouths, so you know, you can use big flies, and you know, big fish like big flies. So most of the flies are going to be anywhere from 3 inches to 7 or 8 inches. I got a few flies that, you know, like 11, 12 inches that kind of look like an eel or whatever. They're more for being out in the bay or something like that, as opposed to being in the river. Okay. All right. Good old game changer. So this thing, you know, has all kind of wiggle and all like that. So that they do really well in current with that wiggle. And I put a little tail there on them. Here's a modified zonker, a big zonker. This one's on about a 3/0 pike hook, and has an Estas body with the rabbit fur, and then has a fish skull head. That's going to give it a kind of a dipping action. Here's another one with that has the fish skull head on it. This one's going to sink level down as opposed to diving. So you get 2 different types of actions. little Burke's hot flash minnow with the blue back, like I say, kind of imitates the herring that we have in the river. And then this is Brian Shoemaker's little minnow that had Phil Johnson modified, put a tail on it for me. But this also is articulated, not a whole lot of articulation, but some in there that will do real well.
Hey, Robert.
And like I say, any streamer fly will work. So that's just some of the ones I use. For top water, this is a gurgler. This is a pretty big one here. This is on I think on a 6/0 hook. But this little thing here, when you strip it, pops up and it makes a kind of a gurgling noise, which is where it got its name. Very effective top water type fly. Jack Gartside up in New England came up with this for stripers and bluefish and all. Although the ones that he tied weren't quite this big. Actually tied this one up for pike, but it'll work just fine for stripers too. The old crease fly, Joe Blados, again, guys from New England, came up with this fly. It's just foam folded over. They are a bitch to tie. I had to beat Tommy Mateo upside the head half a dozen times before he finally timed for me. But this thing floats, and sometimes it'll float like this, sometimes like this, you know, a little bit. And when you strip it, it kind of goes any kind of which way. You just never know. It's just going to dart all over the place. Stripers love these. False albacore just absolutely love these. If you ever get down to North Carolina to fish for those.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
One question. What water temp should we be looking for hickories, Americans, and rockfish?
50 degrees is the kind of the start. So usually the fish are here. Usually the stripers are here now. But you know, again, there's no getting out on the water right now. Hickories, I usually St. Patrick's Day will start looking for them. And then the first 2 weeks of April are kind of the big prime time where you're going to catch most of them. After about the 15th, they're going to start to taper down. Usually about the first week of May, the shad are gone. And the stripers will hang on. Again, depending on water flows and all like that, they can be here into up till the middle of June. In fact, like I say, the keeper season doesn't even start till the middle of May. So after you get your fill of shad, you can start looking for stripers. So, all right, there's a little popper. Got the CK baitfish tail on it. This got a little bit of articulation to move around in the water. We'll say stripers, they'll hit top water and their ball, but their aim is not the greatest in the world. So about half the time they miss. I guess it's because of the moving water, and they're not used to hitting something on the top. So a lot of times they'll miss, but it's a lot of fun just watching them blow up on it. This is a little dragon tail on a diver head. This thing has a lot of snaky movement in the water. So it can be very, very effective. And also, when you strip it, it dives down and then it pops back up. Hopefully y'all can see that. Will dive down these little trail bowls that pop back up. Now you can use, here's a straight popper, fairly big head on this. You can see the size of that compared to the wife's head. One thing I do when I'm topwater fishing stripers, I usually use a trailer behind it. And what I do when I tie these, if you can see this, I have, come on, a little swivel. I don't know if you can see that or not. Well, I take some wire and put a little swivel at the back. And that way I can tie about 3 foot of fluorocarbon or now whatever I want on the back of this thing. And then I will, put like a dragon tail, behind it, or any of the unweighted or very lightly weighted streamer flies behind it. And a lot of times, the noise of this will attract the stripers. If they don't want to hit that, they see that streamer fly behind it, and then they will nail that. And of course, you got a great strike indicator right here with that. And you also can do that with a diver head here. And this one has a little quick clip on it, so that I can take and just flip that right in there. So now I've got a diver with a thing. And then if I need to, I can change this tail out. The dragon tails tend to be a little bit, well, you can beat them up in a hurry. So, and then this thing here is also articulated. So it gives it a lot of action to swim that across. And then last but not least, here's another little diver type head. And again, I've got the little quick clip on in that where I can hook on whatever I want. So, all right, any other questions on flies?
Nothing in the chat.
Nothing in the chat. All right.
I'm sorry, one last question.
Yeah.
Are the stripers safe to eat in that area of the James?
Yeah, they come up, from the bay. They're only there for a very short time. They're not eating anything off the bottom. They're eating the probably the white perch or the herring that came up with them. So, and you can, like I say, you can only keep one. So it's not like you're gonna, be eating a whole lot of meals. So it should not be a problem at all eating them. And stripers are really good. Also, especially if you want some other fish to eat, catch a bunch of white perch. They're in there by the thousands, and they are really good too. They're kind of distant cousins to the striper. So I wouldn't be eating catfish out of there or something like that. Something that stays in the river. But the fish that come up and then go back, I wouldn't have any problem at all eating those. All right, any other questions? Phil Johnson, Steve Lewis, Bill Pearsall, y'all have anything to add? I'm not seeing anything. All right. Well, I guess we can tie some flies in. And if anybody has questions they can think of as we go, just give me a shout. Zoom this back in a little bit. All right. Oh, the hook I like to use is basically a popper hook. It's got a little kink shack on it to keep the popper body from turning, but it gives you this perfect place to put your dumbbell eyes. All right, get the thread started here. Hello. Lead eyes, these are small. You can use bigger ones if you want to get down more. You can also use bead chain. Depends on how fast you want this to sink. All right. Like I say, this little thing here gives a perfect place to put the eye. Well, lay this here, and y'all can't really see that. Make 2 wraps around, and then we're going to wrap over the opposite way a couple of times, kind of straighten this out. A few more wraps. And then the little trick to this is to make a circular wrap around the bottom and pull those other wraps tight. All right, get this straightened out. And make a few more wraps here. All right. Then the tail material. Got a little calf tail here. But you can use rabbit fur. You can use glow bug yarn. Use flashy boo or crystal flag. Pretty much anything. You don't want to have a really long tail. Just a little bit of something to give it a little bit of color. Shad tend to like bright colors, although sometimes something really dark will work. I know Fred Murray from the Virginia Ironers Club likes a black fly. So basically I just got a little pinch of this. Get the little out of there. And just tie this down. Nice thing about these, they don't have to be really pretty. So, Doug, do I need to zoom in a little bit more, or is that good?
I think you look pretty good. One question is that a stainless hook?
No, it's not. It is a bronze hook. It will rust out in a heartbeat in salt water. But the nice thing about it, it's fine wire, it's super sharp, and it's flexible. If you hook the bottom and you got a decent leader on it, usually you can pull it loose. It may bend it a little bit, but then you just bend it back and keep going. Now you can use any 2 to 3x long hook, size 8, like I say, size 6 seems to be the Goldilocks size. All right, body material, any kind of yarn, chenille, whatever. This is Leftys Estas in good old bright chartreuse. Now, a little trick I do is I don't take this thing all the way out of the package. In fact, I don't, just cut a piece. I just leave it in a package. That way I don't have any waste or very little. All right. And then just wrap this forward. Up to the eye. And we'll just put a couple wraps here to tie this off. Now, I could have made this thing entirely chartreuse, but I kind of like to do some little contrasting colors. And the first color I ever came up when I first tied this was the white chartreuse and pink, which is kind of what we call tutti frutti. And then this is, again, this is fluorescent pink. This stuff comes in all kinds of colors. All right, I'll bring the thread in front of the eyes, tie this in, and then just wrap this. And I have every time I wrap it, I do it differently. So there's no really set way you got to do it. Just want to make a little, kind of a little ball head. Here. Tie this off. Be careful that we don't cut the thread. And a little whip finish. And we're done. So basically you can whip these things out here pretty quickly. In an hour you can tie, I don't know, probably a dozen of them or something like that. And like I say, just whatever color combinations that you like, it's easy enough to do. Now, the other easy one to do, this is a little, and these things come from Bass Pro. It's basically a little jig head, so you don't have to worry about putting weight in it or whatever. And this one's got a little bit of a bent hook because I was half tore up, so I just recycled the hook. Let's see here. Yeah, thread. Again, just basically start the thread here. All right. All right, this one I'm going to use a rabbit for the tail. And you just need a little small piece of this, maybe 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch. And I try to separate this out because I want my flowers to be long for the next one instead of just whacking it. And you can take the hide off if you want. I just tend to just leave it on. That. Don't need that. Tie that down good. Little orange Estas for this one. Now again, like I say, any kind of chenille, yarn, whatever that you have works. Put this on. Again, we're just going to wrap this up. And another whip finish. And the thread I use is flat wax nylon. It's good and strong. You can break it, but you know, you got to try. And that's all it is to that one. So shad flies are pretty quick and easy. You tie up a bunch, I say different colors. The color, I say, really doesn't make a difference until it does. I think location is way more important than color. So I carry usually pink, chartreuses, red, oranges, white is my basic colors. So whatever floats your boat, basically. Questions there, Doug?
No, nothing right now.
All right, so everybody's good. So, all right. Let's do a striper fly. All right, for this, I'm going to use a long streamer. These are made by Deceiver. Got these from a place called Fly Shack. Also, you could use a pike and muskie hook by Horace, or you can use regular saltwater, hooks, or basically any heavy duty freshwater hook. It just depends on how long you want the body and what you're doing with it as to what hook you want to use. Now the picture I showed you was the very, very basic fly. And the nice thing about this fly is that you can modify it to death. You can add cone heads. You can just weight the fly in the middle, depending on how you want it to act. Whether you want it to sink, just down level, or whether you want it to boogie up and down. So you also, the basic fly is fairly neutrally buoyant. It'll sink slow. If you really want it to stay near the surface, what you can do is add just a little foam under it, or you can actually put a foam head on it if you want to make a popper type thing out of it or whatever. So well, I'm going to gussy this one up pretty good. So got my hook. This is a fairly substantial cone head. Nice thing about this hook here, it's got a nice perfect bend. Perfect bend being that it's totally, I can get in front of here, it's totally round. That means beads and cones and stuff like that slip on easily. All right. Good. Okay. All right. Right over there. Let's use this one. Thread color really doesn't matter on this because it's not going to be showing. All right. Now, the tail of this rabbit strip, and it's what we call a magnum cut. Okay, the magnum cuts are wider than just your standard one. Standard one's a little small for this, so you want something that has a little bulk to it. All right. So basically, yeah, 3 inches maybe. You don't want super. You can make a super long tail, but for these, something about right there. And again, take a bodkin, go through there, and separate the fibers. So I've got a nice little clean spot right there. You can see that where I'm going to make my cut. That way, for my next one, I've got my full length fibers for the next piece. All right. Now, when I put this on, instead of putting it on the top, I put it to the side and wrap. And when I pull down, it pulls it to the top. So see, now it's sitting right on the top. If you try to put it on the top and hold it, it'll try to kink off to the side. So put it there, and then we'll crank this down. Now, I probably use way too many thread wraps, but that's me. So it's on there. Okay. Now, add a little bit of Arctic Fox to this. Arctic Fox Lunker. And we'll take this, and I'm going to take, boy, backwards. Everything's quite hard to see to it, but maybe 1/4 inch at the most. 2 pieces of that. I do the same with this as I do with a rabbit, and that separate the fibers off instead of just trying to make a cut. And the reason I'm putting this on is to give it a little bit more bulk in the back, and also more action. So, and I've left the hide on here. So I'll put that right there. Lock that down. Put on this side. Lock that down. Now, little flashy boo. I try to keep the stuff inside the bag so it doesn't get all messed up. You take it out of the bag and it's can be a mess. So I'm looking for maybe 5, 6 strands, not much. Now you can put on as much as you want, but the nice thing about flash too is you get too much, you can always cut it out. All right, find my semi midpoint here. Just the side. There's all kind of ways to put this stuff on, but you almost always want to have it doubled. If you just try to put it on straight, it's very slick and will pull out sometimes. So then I'm gonna bring this over to this side. All right, so that's all locked in. And you notice my flash boot is way longer than my tail. So I want it to be maybe just a little bit longer, not way longer. So I'm just gonna trim that off. Okay. Now, all right, for the body, I got this stuff here called UV Life Flex Wrap. This is white. They make it chartreuse, make it red, make it black, a whole bunch of stuff. So, nice thing with this stuff is pretty much indestructible. Now, you also, if you wanted to, you could tie the body with Estas Grande. A little bit sparklier, not as thick, so your body's a little slimmer. All right. Now this, I usually pick off just a couple of little strands up front, just so I have a little place to tie on. We can see that, but I had a little piece right here of the cord that I can tie in. All right, tie that in, and then we'll run thread up to the front there. Now, as you wrap this stuff, you want to keep brushing it back so it doesn't overwrap itself. Now, if you had a saltwater hook, that would be probably about all the body would get, but I got this longer thing because of what I'm going to do up front on it. I need a little extra room. All right, that should be good about right there. All right. Trim this off. And then I'll try to run that back just a little bit there. That can be a little frustrating to work with, but okay. Again, like I say, I could have just ran it all the way forward and had a, fly like that, but I like a little red up to the front. So I've got some cross-cut rabbit. Yeah, again, you could just use regular rabbit. You could use some more Arctic fox or whatever, but now with cross-cut rabbit, you want to make sure that the rabbit strip here is very slim. You don't want, not so much wide, you don't want a big thick piece of hide like you have on this, because it'll just build up too much bulk. You want and it won't wrap well. So you want, when you get it, make sure that it's very slim. Okay, we'll add a rabbit in here. I can get it to go in. All right. Wrap that around. And again, you preen this back as you go. Try to find my tie-in point there. That off. Lock that down. And I got some Palmer chenille. And this stuff is flashy. It's also only on one side the cord, which makes it really nice for wrapping stuff.